Never got reassigned to that ship. When I went for my next assignment, it was leaving England, coming back on a Dutch ship as a passenger. So I ate like a king, coming back as a passenger on a Dutch ship. Came back to New York. Was now assigned to Brooklyn Navy Yard again to outfit another type ship, same kind. And this is the one that I've told you many stories about it, where we had the crazy captain, and we had all these problems with this ship, which were very similar in so many ways to what I call Mr. Roberts' Navy. And those are experiences that I'll never forget, and experiences that, you know, living through them is something that I wouldn't want to have missed.
When you were in England, was this during the time they were using the buzz bombs and all that stuff in London here, or was this before that? And when you came back across the Atlantic, were there submarines that your convoys had to deal with? Was it?
We went over, we had to deal with the submarines. But we didn't have any incidents. When we were there, and I was in London on occasion, they were hit by buzz bombs. And I was there right before the invasion. In fact, I was there in Poole, which is right across the channel, during the morning of the invasion. But I was lucky.
You basically had to do with the statistical or something with the invasion itself, keeping track of the ships? Or?
No, just keeping track of records. It was not a big deal, except that the base was being fed so poorly because it was a British base that I made a deal with the British officers that I worked out an arrangement where the Americans took over the feeding of the base for a certain amount of compensation and so forth. And we ate much better overall. And they were all happy with that, although they didn't particularly like the idea of the Americans taking over the food supply. And the officers didn't like the Americans, because whatever Americans were around had more money. The girls would flock to the fellows with the money. That was all so characteristic of what we did. Shall we
take a
stop?
Just a short break
here. Summarizing my Navy career, probably the things that were most interesting that happened were really the stories that I've already told you about. Again, it was a period of my life that I enjoyed very much. It was fun because I had the good fortune not to have been hurt or be exposed to, you know, enemy fire. But I almost didn't get discharged honorably. I had an understanding with the captain of the ship that I would feed the crew as best I could. And to the extent that I could get food from wherever, I would get it. And we would deal with the problem of over-expenditure at some point, but we weren't going to worry about it. And we weren't going to worry about staying within the 70 cents a day allotment, which was the allotment per person. Well, what happened was that this was an understanding between the captain and myself but the captain was relieved of his duty at the end of the war before I was. So my captain was gone. In the meantime, the new captain comes on board, and he hears about this over expenditure, and he doesn't know what to do with it. And the new supply officer comes on board, and he tells the new captain in no way is he going to relieve me with this particular problem, the over expenditure. So, what do? I can't do anything. I'm sitting there waiting to be relieved. Finally, the new captain says, well, he's going to deal with it by sending a letter to the 13th Naval District recommending court-martial proceedings. And, oh my God. Well, what happened over there was what most of us had anticipated. They wrote back and said, get a letter from Lieutenant Auerbach to the effect that the monies were expended on behalf of the crew and fine and let it go. Because, believe me, we did overspend for the crew, but if you watch them dumping millions of dollars of food into the ocean after the war, you couldn't believe it. Because all these provisions which they had in the Pacific, they did not want to leave for the natives. They didn't want it. It was a matter of policy. They did not want to leave them. And so they would just run them out to the end of the ramp, in effect, and dump them in the ocean. So I didn't feel so bad. And our crew did eat well. But I did come out of the Navy. And then the question was what to do career-wise. I went up to with your mother, up to the mountains, and there it was, I took a few jobs around town, and I'm sure your mother would have loved for me to just stay in town there, become an accountant or whatever in town, because she loved the country. But I decided I wanted to go back, complete my work on my master's at either the University of Michigan or Harvard. Harvard, I would have to go back for a year. When I talked to the University of Michigan, they said that I could get my master's degree in one semester. So I decided to go back to the University of Michigan. But the most interesting part of that whole story was that I'm sitting there in Fallsburg with your mother, speculating on what I should do before I made the decision what I should do. And I wonder what Michigan would agree to do and so forth. So your mother, in very typical Judy function or approach, which you already will recognize, she said, get on the phone and call them. Don't write, get on the phone, you know. Well, no, when she pushed me, I get on the phone, I call, and they give me an answer right away. They'd sure. They'd welcome me back, and I shouldn't give it another thought. And so then I went off for that one semester back to Ann Arbor. Judy stayed home because just for the one semester, it didn't pay to get everybody moving out. So I went there for the one semester, and toward the end of the semester, I started to think about getting a job. And it was Professor Payton who said, and he particularly focused on Coopers and Lybrand, and then Lybrand, Ross Brothers, and Montgomery. And Professor Payton suggested that I visit Lybrand, Ross Brothers, and Montgomery. I came to New York and I visited a number of the firms. and including Lybrand. And I decided to come with Lybrand because they were the one firm that offered me more money than I asked for, which I found very impressive. And it was really on the basis of that act on their part that I really chose that firm. And when I went with the firm, it was on the audit staff. I had a lot of what I call good breaks at the beginning of my career. The first to give you an example, the first engagement I went on sent me down to Florida. The person who was the manager on the engagement was the person who was in charge of all training for the firm. And he was also the person who was Rappaport's assistant in SEC work. And he liked me. So when I came back to New York after my first job, George Farron was his name, and he also did work on Montgomery's books, the auditing book, and suggested that maybe I would like to work on the book. So here I am, my first year with the firm. I get exposure to working on Montgomery's auditing, the book. I was then selected to be Rappaport's first assistant that he ever had, Lou Rappaport, to review 10K material. I got that practically my first year with the firm. So, and then I guess it was maybe in my second year, then I got to write for Al Jennings, who was then chairman of the firm. I got to work on a draft of the American Institute policy on internal control. Again, these were all things that represented breaks. It's sort of, for a new fellow on the staff, I was getting a lot of exposure in the firm to the right people. And that all went very well. And then I went down, we'd gotten Alcoa as a new engagement. And I went down to Pittsburgh. And when I was down in Pittsburgh, I met our old friend Bill Welch, who was the tax manager who had come from New York. And we got to know each other because mainly we would go out after work. And we would sit and Bill would tell jokes all night long. We would always start out and say, we're going to go back to work. And we'd never get back to work. So we got lousy reports written on us. We never got back to work. But Bill talks to Phil Barties when he gets back to New York. He said, you know, there's a fellow down there in Pittsburgh from New York, assigned down there temporarily. He would make a very good taxman. We ought to try to get him. So next thing I know, I'm being called by Barties. Come in and see him when I get back to New York. I go in and see him, and he says, the firm would like you to join the tax department. Please give me your answer on Monday. This was Friday. I figured the firm, in all its wisdom, decided that's where I should be. That's where I should be. So on Monday, I told him yes, I would do it. Later, when I went to lunch one time with one of the senior partners, he said to me, he says, Norm, he said, whatever possessed you to leave the audit staff? You were doing absolutely great on the audit staff. Whatever made you go into the tax department? So what I found out was Barties had told them, after I'd said I would come into the department, he told personnel that Norm Auerbach wants to join the tax department, and if we don't transfer him to the tax department, he'll probably quit. And that's how I ended up in the tax department. And, but that gave me an opportunity to do what I'd always wanted to do, and I planned to do when I first went to Michigan, and that was to go to law school. And so as part of my agreeing to go into the tax department, I also got agreement from them that they would let me go to law school at night, and that I would not be sent on out-of-town assignments during that period. So I was able to get my law school in, and for 4 years, I went to law school at night. And during this period, from the time we left, I joined with Library of Ross Brothers Montgomery in 1948. Gary was born, so now we had Roger and Gary. And then in '52, when I was going to law school at night, Rick was born. So a lot of the period during which I was going to law school, from '52 to '55, your mother was at home with 3 kids, and I was showing up at 11 o'clock at night, coming home about every night of the week.
Okay, let's take a break right here, and I'll take the camera.
Yeah, well, I don't charge for an hour, so...
Yeah, I haven't talked in a long time. There's certain areas here I could come back to and give you greater detail.
What date are we at, Dad?
Yeah, we might do that.
What date are we at so we can come back to this point?
Well, 1955, when I'm finishing law school.
Okay, and you're coming home late at night every night?
Yeah, during that period.
And you're reading your books on the subway?
Yeah, I didn't say that though.
Okay, we'll get to that. Do I have one?
You have an 8 project.
It was one of the old ones, yeah.
What was that? Excuse me.
Just what I need. I never write.
Maria, that's just...
Now I can write. That's a hit. That's good.
What do you think? I'm gonna hand
Girl.
Something else?
And,
Be able to read that.
and don't you have an appetizer coming?
Can't read it. Why, she asked me, how old are you and when is your birthday?
I was going to say 65, but Ronnie keeps saying 67.
Judith Auerbach, you spelled it right, was born on Wednesday, September 1st, 1920.
You spelled it right?
She spelled it right.
But now the name is wrong.
S-J-U-D-I-T-H.
She spelled it wrong.
That's an important day.
It was
Important time.
News of the month. The bomb explodes in New York City. 30 killed and hundreds injured.
Remember that?
I remember that. Transcontinental air mail service is established. 1,600 letters carried. Operators and anthracite coal miners sign agreement. Miners are dissatisfied. President was Woodrow Wilson, Vice President Thomas Riley Marshall. People who share your birthday. Rocky Marciano, World Heavyweight Boxing Champion.
Well, that's he's important.
He was.
That's 1923. 1933, Conway Twitty. 1936, Lily Tomlin, actress, comedian.
And the happiness I wish for you, not just today, but always. Happy birthday with all my love.
Who's it from?
One must go on forever just to see how it all comes out. Life is never dull. Quite unpredictable, but always pointing to the future. I love you, Mom.
No, David?
We have to go on forever, Mom, and we have a lot to do. This says Mama.
That's Rick's writing.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
That's
say.
Rick's writing.
No one else writes like that.
Mother, here's a birthday award for you because you deserve something special.
Birthday award?
Button.
Mom, happy birthday with all our love, Rick and Roger. This is to certify the certificate.
Oh.
This is to certify that Judy Auerbach, Mom, has been named world's greatest mother on Mother's Day. In recognition of her fantastic fortitude, plentiful patience, wonderful wisdom. These attributes plus her ability to administer amounts
What you doing, Rick? What happened?
of tender, loving care entitle her to this beautiful certificate which, in addition to officially naming her a magnificent mother, also serves as a license for her to sit back, relax, and let someone else worry about things.
Fat chance.
Signed this 1st day of September 1987 by Rick and Roger. Happy birthday. Hi, Darren. That makes me go 2, 4,
That's still got enough.
8, 18. It's only 18. That's it. That's pretty good.
Takes you back a few
Jamie,
years.
help me. Me? Ready?
Is Rick ready? Hold on, make sure Rick's ready.
Ready? Ready?
No, I don't want to.
Come on,
You
Jamie,
want it.
Jamie, come on.
One,
Help
one,
Grandma.
2, 3. Make a wish.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Judy. Happy birthday to you.
Something to play with.
Rick,
What day is that come on?
September 21.
What day?
For your brothers.
Sunday, we're gonna have a little Sunday
Roger.
party.
That happened one time.
Does that take without a flash, without lights?
No, that you can't see anything. But I'm getting the sound.
All the sound.
So, Rick, how far can you get on Mario Brothers?
Rick, you're starting to look like this TV cameraman, you know, where you get a quick shot of it.
No, I don't know whether.
And my shoulder kind of slumps.
You have music more than your little voices.
You look like a TV cameraman, right?
That's
That's
what
what I call
you say with a little loudness.
That was a little bit of reinforcement. That's always appreciated.
Rick, you know, it's one of the things he's been working towards, really, in the last couple of years. He's told me that he'd like to get the look, you know, where he really looks like
Get
he's
the look.
a real cameraman.
Got that look. Got that
Speak to the camera and say what this is all about, Rick. Have you been narrating?
This is all about, Rick.
Have you been narrating?
No, you're narrating, Gary.
All right, let me tell you, this is a very special evening that we're having at Ventana Canyon Golf
No speech,
and
Gary.
Country Club.
Great speech.
You know, Rick, I've got it to 8-1 before.
Boy, you talk about get Gary in front of a microphone.
You're not going to be on camera.
Very good the other night.
Nobody is.
Great.
I got
It's all sound. It's barely visible.
And
Seriously?
did you see him on television the other day?
Yes, I did.
He did.
I got the
I saw
cakes
him.
earlier.
I saw him
The
at
cakes were
Betty's.
lit up.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. Should let me know what to take.
So, should we head out?
There was an Afro lady on it too, right? The girl, the lady laying there. Me and Rick were laughing.
almost 90 years old.
Was that Mrs.
Really?
That was the
Mrs.
thrill of her
Behind?
life. That was the thrill of her life to be on,
That woman?
Is that
Channel
Flora
4
behind?
Me and Rick were
That
laughing.
was an older woman, wasn't it?
Really? Oh yeah, she walks even longer. She's very.
Yeah, she must have been thrilled to be on.
Yeah.
We're going to carry all this stuff down.
Well, her hair.
So I'll do it as we walk out. I'll get you on the hallways and at the door.
When I get the ice cream.
I saw him in the bookstore.
In my bookcase?
Oh, yeah.
Mine too. It's tall as you see. Shoes on.
No.
Gary, I didn't see you.
She's not saying she's everybody. Very. Roger?
What?
Hit it again.
See nothing.
I'm almost as tall as you.
Got it. What would you like to say, Rando? Say something, Randy.
Hi.
More than that. Something concluding with.
My name is Bond. James Bond.
Your name is John.
No, I like that song. My name is Bond.
Right.
I think so.
See
Randy,
you
you want
all.
to carry that bottle on top? Before I go?
Hi, Dad. Hey, Randy.
What's that? The garbage?
Trash.
Take it home.
Okay, stop the ice cream cake. We'll see you back here in a couple.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see you guys later.
Okay, we'll see you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Well, then I should leave this here to go to your house.
Mario, brother.
Let me leave this with you since
Okay.
I don't see the light on.
It's on.
Is it on? I don't see it.
It's on.
I should tell you a little story about this evening. You want to hear it?
Okay.
Somebody else went out
Okay.
with something maybe
You should get all of us as we're leaving, because I think that we all need to get our picture taken just before we leave.
Okay, Gary.
Okay, very good.
Good speech.
Oh, you want it?
Bye, Ann.
Yes. Good night.
Bye.
Have a nice time, Ed.
Thank you.
I'm ready for the next group.
Good night.
Night.
Hey, Leslie, I'm missing you.
Leslie.
Leslie, you're.
Leslie.
Say good night to Rick. Good night, Rick.
Thanks, Les. See ya.
Judy's the last. Bye.
Good night, Rick.
Happy birthday. Let me give you a little kiss.
Now let me get you. Hold this.
No, 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 no.
Joyce. Yeah, I want to get you, Joyce. Okay.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.